Well, I asked those folks, well, why do we celebrate Easter? Because my belief in God is also rooted and incorporated into me 365 days a year. But we observe Easter frequently as a reminder of God's sacrifice, that he would give his son for people he didn't know, but cared enough about to want better for them and put his life on the line. Now, some folks will also say, when they think about Black history, that they believe that that was then, that we have overcame, we have overcame, we have overcame today. Oh, deep in their hearts, they foolishly believe that we have overcame today. I think it's called post-racial. A post-racial society. With the election of President Barack Obama as the first African American to sit in the White House, many breathed a collective sigh of relief and said we are no longer a community, a world that is fixated on race. Y'all don't look like y'all believe that. That many of the issues, the basic civil rights that were out of the reach for our parents, for Big Mama and Big Papa, are no longer concerns today. And even though, as the great poet Langston Hughes said in his poem, Mother to Son, life for me, it ain't been no crystal stair. It's had tacks in it, and splinters, and boards torn up, places with no carpet on the floor. Bare. Being Black today does not stop you from sitting at any lunch counter or dining at any restaurant you want to. Living in the skin we're in no longer means we must attend segregated schools, drink from water fountains designated as Black only, or stop us from buying a home wherever we choose. We don't have to show freedom papers to travel from state to state and live in fear of being captured, tortured, killed as we move through our daily routine. And although, according to the Transatlantic Slave Trade database, 12.5 million Africans were placed on ships, 10.7 million survived the dreaded Middle Passage. I'd rather be 6 feet in my grave than to ever be a slave. Oh, Lord. 2 million of those folks didn't make it. They chose to jump off the side of those ships. The rest were brought to North America, the Caribbean, and South America. Now, folks will casually remind us that slavery is over. The 1965 March on Washington, thing of the past. And even understanding when the Constitution was originally written and Blacks were considered 3/5 of a person. Today, civil rights are guaranteed to everyone. Now I see some heads nodding, but I see some folks looking kind of skeptical at me too. So let's be clear what I mean when I say civil rights, because there's a difference between civil rights and civil liberties. Civil rights are the rights that individuals receive that ensure equal treatment, that you will be free from unfair discrimination and maltreatment in terms of education, employment, housing, and disabilities and other protected areas. And most folks would say as a country and a society, we've achieved that. We're not fighting that fight no more. So I wish that I could take my seat, but I'm reminded that 2 days ago, actually Dr. Myers and I were over in Chicago. We went to the book signing of Trayvon Martin's parents. And they have written a book called Trayvon Martin, Rest in Power, and it's trying to figure out what happened to the civil rights of their child. I mean, questionable deaths such as Mike Brown in Ferguson and Philando Castile in Minnesota, Freddie Gray in Baltimore, Walter Scott in South Carolina, Eric Garner in New York, Tamir Rice in Ohio, Sandra Bland in Texas, Laquan McDonald in Chicago, or Dontre Hamilton and Corey Stingley right here in Milwaukee should leave a real question about the equal application of the law. Being shot in the back 14 times, within 1.6 seconds of arriving on the scene, being choked to death or having your spine broken, most often while unarmed, is a civil rights question. And before leaving the mic, I should probably mention the black and brown people in Flint, Michigan, who the state government thought it was okay to give them dirty and lead-contaminated drinking water to save money. And 3 years later, they still can't drink the water out of their tap. But they do still have to pay the water bill. It is a civil right in this country to have clean drinking water. Yes, we've made progress, don't get me wrong. People have a better chance today of being judged by the content of their character, not the color of their skin. But when Associated Bank in 2015 was found guilty of disproportionately denying mortgages and loans to African Americans and Hispanics right here in Wisconsin between 2008 and 2010, there might be somebody in this room, maybe it's just me, but I think that's a civil rights issue. The very first bill that President Barack Obama signed into law was called the Lilly Ledbetter Act, which allowed women who had been the victim of wage discrimination to effectively challenge unequal pay. Because I know some folks in this room know all too well that women are still paid 78 cents on every dollar that a white male is paid. Oh wait, I said women, that's white women are paid 78 cents on every dollar. Many of the folks that's in this room, their sisters, you actually get 63 cents on every dollar. Now, some folks may say, well, that's not too bad of a difference, but let me help put that in another perspective. Over the course of your average career, getting cheated and not being given your full dollar actually costs black women an estimated $877,000 over the course of their lifetime. Equal pay is a civil rights issue. The city of Milwaukee has a 55% black male unemployment rate. Being able to feed yourself and take care of your family, it's a civil rights issue. African American children, boys in particular, being driven into special education labels, black high school graduation rates at like 69%, that's a civil rights issue. Incarceration, unfair racial profiling, charging and sentencing decisions for for-profit prisons that require bodies to make a profit. An entire zip code, 53206, don't know if we got anybody in here from that zip code, but being labeled as one of the worst places to live in the nation. That's a civil rights issue. Poverty and the consistent disparities in health care for African Americans, photo ID to exercise the right to vote, drawing districts so messed up that if every African American got on the same page, voted for the same person, you potentially could not influence the outcome of an election. It's a civil rights issue. Religion, whether Muslim or Christian, should not be a barometer for how you should be treated in the United States. And understand this. When we have members of the African American community that look at the issues of immigration and say, I ain't got nothing to do with that, that ain't my fight. One thing I've been trying to do lately is remind black folks, at one time, many black folks were illegal immigrants. Now some folks may say, Michelle, what you talking about? Somebody mentioned the baby did the poem about Harriet Tubman. When Harriet Tubman was leading folks to freedom on the Underground Railroad, which actually came through Milwaukee, Racine, Beloit, when they were making their way up through Canada, oh wait, did I say a whole nother country, and was sneaking in, y'all, they was going into somebody else's country illegally, trying to get away from the horrors of slavery. Those slaves today would be called illegal immigrants. And Canada could have made a choice. They could have let them stay, or they could have sent them back. They could have built a wall. They could have kept us out. So I just want people to understand that when we talk about humane treatment, fair treatment. We are facing a crisis in our country today. The fight for civil rights and the role of the church in that fight did not end with the death of Dr. Martin Luther King. We fool ourselves and do our community a disservice when we look the other way, stay confined within the walls of our sanctuary, of our homes, of our minds. Now, if my remarks made anyone uncomfortable today, let me first of all say I'm sorry. But the issues seem overwhelming, and hopefully I've identified quite a few. If you appreciate that sitting on the sidelines while our neighbors and others show up to help protect civil rights is not an option, then I've accomplished my goal. Most important, if you have a broader understanding of the basic civil rights and that they're being violated every day, that this is not a thing of the past, but a current moral dilemma right now. We're one step closer to accomplishing the goal of one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Wow, thank you, Sister Michelle Bryan. We appreciate that. You brought that on home to Milwaukee. Next, we will have Who Am I? The Union Hill Youth. Then we'll have Invitation to Discipleship, Pastor Walker. Remarks by Sister Elaine and Pastor Walker. Announcements and the benediction.